Let's go to Dominion. There's a lot going on with Dominion, and I said that conservatives who are relying on the voter fraud built within the machines will be disappointed. That can't be the only argument, but it does seem to be gaining ground, and there's an increasing amount of deeply disturbing evidence. Yeah. You already have enough with people who are voting from out of state, people who are either underage or people who are dead, voter rolls that aren't active. You already have enough. You already have enough just in Georgia, just that margin. You have to throw those out. Yeah. You have to throw those out.
No matter who they voted for, by the way.
Right.
No, they were all 100% Donald Trump. We would still be saying you have to throw those out. They're illegal votes.
Yeah, but they never are.
They aren't.
So let's not waste people's time. So there is a victory. I don't want them to leave here confused. Wait, hold on. There was a giant vote dump that was for Trump?
No. You mean nowhere in the nation
it
ever?
Never is.
No? No.
Not even in Idaho.
He's real big
because there are no vote dumps in Idaho.
That's true.
It's like 5.
Just a lot of dumps. So this is a victory in Michigan. Now they are going to be able. A judge has given a. I don't know. This is where we don't have my half-Asian lawyer bill. I don't know if it's a ruling, if it's a grant. I don't know what kind of a warrant to seize Dominion voting machines in Michigan.
Well, the big news coming out of Antrim County, Michigan this morning, Pete, is that a judge actually granted our team access to 22 of the Dominion voting machines for us to conduct a forensic audit.
I'm going to get to something exclusive here that I can tell you is confirmed that's been circulating on the internet about votes being switched. But first, I want to present to you the publicly available information that many of you may not have already procured. Here is actually an expert witness, Russell Ramsland. Is it Ramsland?
Yeah.
Ramsland.
So Russell Ramsland presented some findings that were showing that Dominion voting systems, and this can get a little bit technical jargon, but I'll explain the context afterward. I just want you to know that this was someone who spoke, again, under penalty of perjury. So you know it's not just me saying it in my pajamas while open carrying, but that's because the election hasn't been called yet.
Yeah.
So I have my buddy Walther with me. Here he is talking about Dominion voting systems overrepresenting Biden when compared to all other, again, a comparison, voting systems. Here you go.
Well, the first thing we wanted to do was to see what the effect was of a Dominion machine compared to one other. And we looked at it, compared to a group of others, and we looked at it from 3 points of view. And the first thing we did is we tried to go through the 2017 census demographics. We got the 2020 vote count by county for the country. And then we also got the Election Assistance Committee voting machine information, so we knew what each county had. You get a pretty good mathematical model as to what you should expect to see in a Biden versus Trump by county vote. We could see on a percentage basis whether Biden, for instance, outperformed by a certain percentage.
Russell. Giuliani's going to start leaking.
Underperformed by a certain percentage, what you would expect in a county. Well, in this case, what we noticed is when we went back and looked at it, instead of all voting equipment all over the country, and we simply segmented out Dominion, we found out that Biden outperformed what he should have by about 5%. We went back and we looked at it instead of percentage outperformance or underperformance, we looked at it by counties. And when we did it by counties, we found an even more startling result. We found out that if Dominion counts your votes, Mr. Biden got about 78% of the wins. And if you used all other voting machines, then you only got about a 46%.
Now, let me clarify something, because you might be saying, oh, wait, hold on, Biden got 78% versus that just depends on the county. You know, what they're talking about is comparing across counties, across red, blue counties, all other voting systems. In other words, they have taken this into account as a sample study versus just Dominion. We're not talking about going from New York City, right, to Idaho.
Right,
We're not talking about going from Detroit to, let's say, Houston, Texas. We're talking about an average across all other voting systems. And my God, hats off to Giuliani. That man is a hero. He went from prosecuting the mob. You have any idea how exciting that is? To listening to what is, frankly, the audio. It's paint drying. And this is the problem. Let me explain to you, too. This is the problem with the conservative movement, okay? There are too many there are too many Spocks, not enough Kirks.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, as a show that we do very well, and we try to obviously check our sources. You have a lot of the think tank conservatives who, like for example, Tucker Carlson used to be amongst them, who think that this is beneath them, and so they don't distill information so that you can understand. A lot of people watch that and go, I don't know what this exactly means, and the media is counting on you tuning out like I did. Let's apply this to the entire state. Let me break it down for you. All other voting machines versus Dominion, 78 versus 40-something%. Apply it to the state. That means that it could have given Biden anywhere from 123,000 to 136,000 votes. That's beyond the margin of victory. Something else that pisses me off. I was listening to NPR this morning, and they were talking about, they are contesting the results. Donald Trump in Georgia, despite no evidence of voter fraud, after several recounts where the margin is 12,000 votes. Well, hold on a second. It was 15,000 before the recount.
Oh.
And that's just a recount of the machine, mind you.
Right.
I don't know how it's possible to find 5,500 votes. I don't know how that happens. So when NPR says, despite the recounts, why don't you give us a scorecard of what the votes were after the recounts? And you go, this is just recounting the ballot. This is just recounting the ballots in the machine. Maybe we need a hand recount, which brings me to something really important. And this is something that's been circulating online. And while I can't tell you exactly where I've procured some information, I do believe the source, 95%.
Okay.
This is confirmed, and there will be a sworn affidavit.
Confirmed.
Hand recount in Georgia. This is important. So we're talking about the machines in Georgia. Machine, okay, total. Then recounted in the machine, okay, total. A hand recount found out of nowhere. When they did a recount of the votes, an increase of 37 votes for Donald Trump. This same hand recount found exactly a subtraction of 37 votes from Biden.
Interesting.
Machine, same results. This result. Hold on, let's hand recount. Oh, Biden gained 37. Trump gained 37. Did Biden lose any? 37? 37 bushes. How does that? This is something right now that's been circulating. I think we actually have Congressman Jody Heiss confirmed it. And here is an email confirming the 37 vote switch. And I will tell you that I've spoken with a source that I can't disclose right now. Now, you know that's something important because I don't always list anonymous sources.
Nope.
I'm not like CNN. And you'll find this out soon enough in a court of law.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, this person was supposed to testify. The person's talking about the 37 votes, not your deep throat, right? Yeah, they pushed them down to the witness list. Like get down there at the bottom, and then we don't have enough time to get.
By the way, and you know why?
Yeah.
This witness has gone after Republicans hard.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, this witness who goes after both Republicans and Democrats,
independent.
the Republicans were not happy with this witness, and they moved him down the list of 37 votes switched exactly. So right now we've seized the voting machines. We've found a difference between Dominion and all other votes. We just saw the fraud that had taken place in Georgia with a massive voter dump. Where's the evidence? Take it to court. Well, if a judge doesn't look at this, what do you do? Listen, we're trying to take it to court. Look, we need a hand recount. 37. It's almost like it's an exact equation.
Right. And this is one of the things, too. You don't necessarily just rely on statistics to go to court, right? But you do rely on statistical anomalies to tell you where to dig and to do research. And that is absolutely a place where you go, well, hold on. You can't outperform only on this machine and only in these places.
And by the way, people watching right now, again, comment. Did you know about this, the 37 vote switch? Telling you 95% I can confirm this because there are a lot of rumors circulating that aren't necessarily accurate.
Right.
Yes. This is one that piqued my interest. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Yeah. And if you apply that across the state, that's more than enough to flip the state. That's a 0.3% mark. It's more than enough.
Right.
And not even including the other stuff.
Yeah, it's like they're seeing this. It's like a paleontologist finding a bone and then going, hey, I think there might be a dinosaur here, and they go, dinosaur. There's just a bone. Right. There's no need to dig anymore.
No, that bone.
It's just a bone.
It's not even a bone, actually. There's no bone there. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. There's no evidence of dinosaurs.
Look, you guys just said bone 3 times, and Joe Lewis doesn't even care.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Thing.
What is the word that would?
Oh, look, do you see that? He just twitched. Don't worry, he's not dead. He's thinking about killing a squirrel. And this is also important when you say, look at all of these irregularities, and we don't have how did all of this happen? How did these votes get lost?
Yeah.
It's important to remember, the reason we don't have a free and fair election, getting outside of the statistics, getting outside of the data that we have, getting outside of the video evidence, the macro here that really matters if we're talking about a free society, the constitutional republic, is that throughout all of this election, people, specifically of one side, have been intimidated, harassed, and berated, and we have hundreds of affidavits, again, under threat of perjury, showing this to be the case, not to mention anecdotal personal experience. This is where we are in this country.
I was unable to challenge a ballot due to the consistent intimidation, harassment, and verbal attacks throughout the day. This came from Democrat challengers, independents, a lawyer, team leaders, supervisors. I was threatened to be escorted out by a Democrat lawyer.
It was a hostile environment from the Democratic lawyer that told me I didn't know what I was talking about when I was challenging.
Writing down the SEO number, and then two Democrats stood, blocked my view. And a supervisor came over, grabbed my credential, and took photo and left. So that's how I was treated.
I personally, witnessed employees taking their pen and filling in the Democrat straight ticket when it's not.
Look at that
And we had an announcement that a new shipment of ballots were arriving, and these boxes of ballots were brought in by Mr. Baxter himself at 4:30 a.m. from the rear of the room. Mr. Baxter and his management team got back on the microphone and said, "This is what democracy is supposed to look like." Right in front of everyone, the whole room cheered.
I was assumed to be a Democrat.
This is that racist, self-loathing
I have
Asian.
seen some women who came to me and said, let's get these MFs out. And she was singing that song. And she was targeting white male Republicans, accusing them of something like your mask slipped, you were not 6 feet away, so you need to go out, and your phone was out. And they were really intimidating all these white people. And I put myself out there, tried to help them, saying, why are you getting them in trouble? And they said, why are you taking their side? Then I showed my GOP tag, and then she said to me that I am on the wrong side. And then when I asked one lady, where did you get trained? She said, trained for what? Because they didn't know what they were there for. Their only job, I could tell there, was to block the GOP people from challenging or intimidate them and get them out.
That's the lady who they tried to portray as racist because now she shouldn't have used the word chow. But
yeah, that was a mistake.
You know who's typically not offended? Asians, Senator Hirono notwithstanding.
Well, that very true.
But she said, this is her testimony, but they're just covering the fact that she said all Chinese people look alike. What she said was, listen, how can you understand? And people will say this is doing, I guess, Indian voice now, the equivalent to black face, black voice. I don't know.
I'm really offended, whatever happens.
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree that this is grossly offensive. It should never be broadcast. And somehow we do it and get away with it. But she said, how can you verify when you have people who don't show up with a signature with, many people think that all Indian people look alike. And I understand, and I also find that all Chinese people look alike. In other words, she's saying that people who are not Indian aren't as familiar. And this is backed up by studies. It doesn't mean that you hate people. It means that if you are not as familiar with people, you are more likely to confuse them for a similar looking person. And she was saying, I also feel that way with Chinese people, which, listen, describe one of those people to a sketch artist, a police sketch artist, and they're going to be much more similar than your mom, your dad, or your brother.
You know who else thinks that a lot of Asian people look alike? Apple's face technology. Do you remember that story years ago that it would unlock on any Asian face?
We thought technology would bring us past hate.
No. Apparently, we're still there.
Yeah. So we can watch that montage. I would say rewind, watch that montage again, and ask yourself if that's the kind of environment where everything's totally above line, like everything is totally fine. Right. Everybody's trying to be as honest, trying to make sure that the results are as clear and as easy as possible. So again, saying like this is what democracy looks like, pulling out a bunch of ballots. Let's get these MFers out. It's a horrendous environment.
Consistent.
Yeah, and every single Republican there, no matter what they look like, was treated like garbage. Watch Good Morning Mug Club live every Monday through Thursday at 10:15 Eastern.